Okay, we got a video for some new technology. It's MEMS. If you are subscribed to this channel, go ahead and comment below for a chance to get the Thea Audio Hype 4. The Hype 10 was sent out. I believe that person got it. I know that the Punch that went out definitely got it because the person commented below on the unboxing channel. So comment below this video, give it a thumbs up if you generally like it, and get a chance to get the Hype 4, which would be announced on the unboxing channel as usual. Now we're talking about a set called the MEMS 3S 2025. This is new technology. We don't get a lot of chances to talk about new technology, especially when it comes to earphones, so kind of stoked about it. I paid full price, $2,500 roughly. I just ordered it off of the website, didn't ask for a discount, wasn't offered one. The service was very good. This is a set that uses small drivers. I might put up some images so you can take a look. There's a dime, which is very small. There's 6 drivers actually inside that one. And this set contains a few different ones. It's got the MEMS full range isobaric, the U-Sound micro speaker, also full range isobaric, 6mm full range dynamic speaker, and a 10mm subwoofer that's just taking care of the low end. So that's the drivers in here. Before I get into it, there's discussion online among some people, and they're talking about what's the point of this actually. Like, it's the answer to a question nobody asked. And my reply to that would be, that's valid, but that could be applied to ESTs as well. The treble being done, or the upper treble by BAs for years, was fine for audiophiles, quote unquote, and they thought some of them were outstanding and they paid thousands of dollars for it. Is EST better? I think so, but that falls into the why does it exist type of category. MEMS came into the world really as a convenience thing, I believe, and they're really small and they can be used in subtle applications where audio quality isn't the priority. Its placement can be done in all kinds of things like portable gaming devices and stuff like that. And then they decided to start putting it into earphones, varying levels of success. I decided to get into this because I want to, number one, experience something I haven't experienced before. Number two, have something in my collection that I don't want to buy another tribrid for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. I've done that a lot. There's some very subtle nuances, maybe improvements if I convince myself of that, but I'd like to really, so I'm talking to people that have been in the game for a while and they have a tribrid that they love and they'd like to try something different. I'm talking to you. If you've never paid $2,000 for a set of earphones, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to people that have. But you can listen along if you want and hear what my opinions are. Let's go ahead and talk about the frequency response graph. It's got a sub-bass dominant over mid-bass. It's got mids. It's got a very polite, not recessed or overly pronounced upper mids. Ear gain. It's got reduction in the 3, 4, 5, 6 area, which is very nice. The peak that you see at about 7K was not able to be lined to 8K like people usually do, because some sets, for some reason, you literally have to pull these earphones out of the measure device almost completely for it to line up at 8K, and that is not reflective of how you would have it in your ear at all, just to get it to 8K. Can't do it. But if you look at the graph on their website, mine's not really that much different as far as everything else, but I was not able to get it lined up to 8K without absolutely abandoning what it would be like in real world, which is that you actually stick these in your ears. These are open back. They do sound open back, and that's a great quality. To that, I will say that this is, I think, a top 5 set in my collection of everything that I've ever heard in my life. It's got its good points and it's got things that you should be aware of. I'll talk about those now, and then I'll go right into the bass, vocals, and then the harmonics. I think that one of the drawbacks of this is that it comes with the energizer, because these drivers need to be stimulated really at all times. So your DAP through the line out 4.4 would be going to the energizer, which then goes to, it's like an external DAC or amp DAC combo that a lot of people used to use with DAPs. So it's a little bit inconvenient, and if portability is really your main concern, it's more portable than this, and I really love this. But it's something to keep in mind. And there's also discussion about getting this smaller, which is appropriate since it's small drivers. This is smaller would make it more appealing to a wider market. I would hope that the company would take people like myself who paid full price for this version. If they come up with something that does essentially the same thing with half the footprint, that I would get some kind of a discount for being an early supporter, so long as it doesn't ding their ability to keep growing as a company. But if you're going to follow along with developing technology, there is that risk that you're taking, but there should be some customer service involved with, like, you bought this and we've improved now to a new version, we'll sell it to you for a better price than first timers because you were there and you helped develop capital so that we could even move forward. So that would be nice. Now let's go ahead and go talk about music. In the low frequencies, deck mix drops, like synthesized drops, bass hits, boom, or inverted ones, hun, 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 like the Beastie Boys pioneered. Those all sound fine. The bass profile would indicate that there might be some things missing, but in the low end, I'll summarize, it sounds excellent. But I'll tell you now, Kendrick Lamar, Nas, Tupac, Wu-Tang, Ghetto Boys, all of that stuff sounded fine. I was expecting, looking at the graph, that might not be the case, but it actually is. It sounds excellent. Bass guitar sounds exceptional. That graph would indicate that there's a little meat off the bone. It doesn't sound like that to the ear. There are things about these drivers that stick out, but it's not here, where the graph would indicate tonally wise. I think bass guitars sound excellent on this set right here. 4 or 5 string bass guitars, Violent Femmes, Please Do Not Go, John Paul Jones, all the stuff I listen to. I'm a bass head. I love rock and roll. Bass guitars they're in hip hop because they're sampled a lot. There's no problems there. The bottom kick drum, I use it because it's an emphasized bass or kick drum. It's supposed to sound pronounced, produced really, and it does, and it doesn't look like it would be on a graph, but it does to the ear, which was a very nice surprise because I might have accepted that and been coping a little bit for the rest of the qualities, but there's no coping there. So deck mix, 808 Roland type drops, 4 and 5 string bass guitars. The kick drum sounds good in its normal form or its produced emphasized form when the Levy breaks, Led Zeppelin's 4th album. Low end, there's no problem. I find it to be only surpassed by the PMG APX SE in overall excellence. There's really only one other set that does the combination of clarity and clearness and accuracy. That would be the PMG. Besides that, it would be this set that I'm looking at right now. As we get into the mids, we're talking about vocals. Chris Cornell, Lane Staley, a girl named Nina doing a cover of Blondie. For example, Madonna's Take a Bow was absolutely ethereal, excellent, like steroids. Perfection in the mids. I love the mid presentation. Would almost call this a mid-centric set. Actually, I'll call it that, even though it's got emphasized low end. The vocals come through amazing. Those words mean nothing to you, and they're sometimes damaging as a reviewer to talk like that, but I'm music-based. I think the vocals sound amazing. As we get into overtones and harmonics, which is really, let me do this again because of people that maybe don't know my channel. I knocked my finger on the wood that created a sound. Let me do it again, though you can hear it. The initial, when my knuckle strikes the table, creates a fundamental sound and exists in a certain frequency range. And if you see it on a spectrogram, it's very long and stretched out. Just a split second is the knuckle striking the table, creating the sound. The decay in the sound that's created, which lasts, let's say, a second, probably 80% of that is overtones or harmonics created by the fundamental event. Or it could be a stick striking a cymbal, or it could be a finger plucking and releasing a bass guitar string, or a pick pulling on a electric guitar 12 string with distortion pedals. All of those moments create sound that is mostly harmonics and overtones. This is where this set becomes, there's a little bit of thing there going on, and by thing I mean something different. There's an album called Wings, and Wings Greatest Hits, and I'm going to take too much time to do this, but I'll just go into it anyway because I finally got my album up, and it's like the worst. You can see all my albums look really good. These are accurate taggings, and the one album that I'm going to cite unfortunately, is like the one that was tagged really poorly, and I didn't realize until I was doing this video, because I have to come up on here. And let's see where it is. It's Wings. So it should be down there. And look at that. Look at the other album covers and look at that. That's just what happened there. I've got Warren G right there. Wings. There's a track called Band on the Run. And one of the oldest instruments in music is the hand. Two hands. The clap. You can see a spectrogram for what a clap looks like. It's not really different from my knuckle striking the table. The clap moment exists between 5 and 1.5K. There's open hand claps. There's cupped hand claps that make different sounds. But that clapping on this track sounded to me to be abrupt. Cymbals didn't. Interestingly, because I immediately, with my OCD brain, went to listen to Hey, Hey, What Can I Do? I went to listen to Blind Faith, Can't Find My Way Home, the cymbal strike at 27 seconds, also at 38 seconds. Those didn't sound really different, and I was really listening to them. I didn't pick that up, but the claps, compared to the PMG APX SE and a couple other sets, sounded like a drummer when they mute a cymbal because they're not trying to get into the mix any more than that timing event. They grab the cymbal and they mute it with their hands. They stop it from creating the harmonics that it is by vibrating. It sounds like the hand is being cupped or trimmed in the mixing deck. It's clear. It's right there. And it's an effect of the MEMS drivers, because the low end, I believe, is typical dynamics, or I don't know. I didn't speak to the owner of this company and ask him any questions, because you might not have that ability. So I'm talking about this as a music lover who wants to try new gear, and I don't know anything more than you do. I believe the low end, the sub bass is a particular driver, and then there's a few drivers that are doing full range, and I think that's why the mid bass really isn't suffering, because there's a couple drivers that are doing it, and it sounds excellent. The hand clap in Band on the Run is probably between 600 hertz and about 2 kilohertz mainly. Something around there, or just after 2 kilohertz, is sounding a little bit, let's say 2 to 4, abrupt. And that definitely would be a MEMS driver. And I don't know which one it is, or if it's a couple of them doing that, but this set is excellent. I would put it in my top 5, maybe top 3. I love it. I enjoy the new technology. There's a little bit of new toy bias, but I really went through that and did other listens and started to really get picky about what I was doing. And that's how I picked out the hand claps and Wings. And then I went to listen to other stuff like the hi-hats and the cymbal strikes, and I couldn't find it elsewhere. There was one other interesting thing, and that was that the Rolling Stones Hot Rocks, which is like a greatest hits album, the whole album sounded just a little whack. And it didn't sound like that on PMG APX SE. And no other album sounded like that. But that album sounded kind of unique. So I think that MEMS have a kind of like planar, in that they're kind of fast. Now, I've said it a million times, 55 hertz is 55 hertz. The extension, retraction, return to stationary, 55 times in 1 second equals 55 hertz. So it's very simple. But sometimes to the ear, like the membrane of a planar can sound like it's a little sped. A little bit. MEMS seem to have that same impact. It's more subtle and harder to pick up. But in some points it's easier, because the clarity and resolution makes everything more accessible to you. And I'm going to not get into a total ramble. Is it a dumpster fire? No. Hope it was free. Nobody's getting this. It's mine. But that's a good thing. Coping is working. The sped up driver with the MEMS as it relates to planar, maybe a little bit. Competes with its peers. I don't know what its peers are, because I don't have experience with $2,000 MEMS-based earphones. I'd buy it. I literally did, and I'm stoked about the purchase. Going to shamelessly hype it. I'm not going to, because this technology is still evolving and maturing. So I'm not going to shamelessly hype this, but I am very happy with my $2,500 investment. I think it sounds excellent. It brings out everything clear, crystal clear, and it's making some stuff that I thought sounded fine not sound fine, and it's making me focus on claps in Wings' greatest hits. And let me see if I'll show you my downloads, because I'm not. me see if I can find it. This is from a few days ago, and this is a hand clap recording because I wanted to see 300 milliseconds roughly is how long that lasts. And you can see that the bulk of it is right, it's a split second. And then this is just the sound that it creates. It sounds like a little part of this is lopped off a little bit. And that's my criticism of the set, is that it's got habits that are similar to planar, but its overall presentation sounds better, and it's not as etched in the treble like planars are. I really think that planars do better in the low frequency than they do in the upper mids and treble, and that putting planar down in the low end is probably the better move. That's my opinion and over experience. I think bass, planar, excellent. Bass, treble, yeah, I've heard it a lot and it all sounds the same and it's got the same problems. This does better than that. I'll let you guys go. Recommended for people that spend around $2,000 on earphones and have already bought several tribrids and are finding that their gains are really minimal and almost aesthetic or placebo. Like people say it's great, so you're kind of thinking, yeah, I guess it's great. I'm talking to you. Don't keep buying another, 4 EST, 4 BA, 1 or 2 DDs and a pseudo isobaric configuration. Try something new with your money. I think it's matured enough that it's a worthy investment in its price range. And the stack, I guess that you take that or leave that. I don't have a problem with it myself because I'm not carrying this around with me. But again, it's comparable or easier than something like this, which I also love. So it's recommended to people that are already in the space and are in the range and are bored or think that there's a little bit more that can be gotten, but they don't think that a tribrid in its standard EST, BA, DD config is really getting quite there. To you, I would recommend this set. I think it's really good. To the company, great job. Service was fantastic. I paid full price. You didn't offer and I didn't ask. If this becomes a smaller footprint later down the line, it would be nice if the people like myself or early adopters could get some consideration because it's a quickly moving technology as far as micronizing or making the footprint smaller. I think I said that early in the video, but I'd like to emphasize that because that would go a long way if it's something that could be balanced financially as being feasible and would keep people in the fold instead of saying, well, this is moving too fast, I'm out. Like if they're going to keep releasing something every 2 months and calling it the newest, latest, I'm not doing that. Because that's really clearly being a beta tester. I'm okay with being a pseudo beta tester if you can say, you know what, you to those who purchased already, you can get a discount. There's a lot of companies that do that kind of stuff already that move quickly. So I would say Soranik, maybe consider that. If you grow big enough to take that little bit of a ding, you would keep people following along with you. So recommended to the people that I just specified. The tribrids that are coming out are just really not getting much better than they were 2 years ago. And you want something better. Clarity-wise, it would be this. Really great set. And I'm out.